Season 1 has begun, and there's a brand new pillar of content for players to go ahead and sink their teeth into. There's a bunch of questions like, when should we use these coffer keys? What's the main way that we can gain power to be able to push into the higher delves? And what should we be concerned about when it comes to daily resets? We're going to get into all that here today. Just before we get into it, over on YouTube and Twitch, we've got a cool community on over there. You can join us at 8 a.m. EST most days of the week. As soon as you do log in, you want to both grab the seasonal start quest and then also the delves quest. There's going to be a weekly quest that's attached to doing delves. In this case, we have to complete 2 Nerubian delves within the given week. Delves : Nerubian Menace. This indicates that we do need to go ahead and complete 2 Nerubian delves this week to be able to get our pinnacle cache through delves. Again, remember, this is going to apply to the same rules that all the other caches do. This is going to be one of your 4 when it comes to getting coffer keys, but it's nice to get a coffer key while you might be using one on a given delve. So let's take a quick look at the world section of the vault. When we take a look at that, we're going to see our delve rewards. Now, it does say we have to complete 2 delves or world activities for us to unlock the first node. But the second paragraph is the important part. It says the item level reward will be based on the lowest of your top 2 runs this week. Top indicating the highest runs and then the lowest of the highest runs. So for example, if we did complete a level 5 or tier 5 delve and a tier 4 delve, then the highest reward we would get there would be as if it was a tier 4 delve. Now, if we ran 2 tier 5 delves, then in that case, we would qualify at least this section to be a tier 5 quality reward for being in the vault. 4 being the middle and then 8 being the top, meaning that you have to run several of these up to 8 times for you to unlock all 3 slots to give you 3 choices on your delves. We can go all the way up to tier 11, but mainly here in this video, we're going to be talking about tier 8 because that is when we get a cap on the amount of rewards we can get. Completing above that is going to reward cosmetics and some vanity achievements and things like that, but you don't need to complete that if you're just after the gear. Just a quick note about the higher tiers of delves. Just keep in mind, tier 4 and above are going to have a respawn counter. You have a certain number of lives, 5 of them to be exact, for how many times you can die in the delve before you forfeit the gear and also forfeit the ability to tier up the delve as well. We've only had access to tier 1 through 3 so far, so we haven't run into the respawn mechanic just yet, but as we increase the difficulty on delves, that is going to be the main thing preventing us. Keep in mind, there is no timer in delves at all. On the topic of tiers, you might be wondering when you're ready to progress to the next tier. Over here, there is a table from Wowhead that's talking about exactly what item level they do suggest you to have before moving into the delves. I would take this, though, with a grain of salt because it really depends on your individual class. Use this as a general guideline on what you can expect when it comes to your gearing path. Now, a quick note about the gearing path. When it comes to upgrades in delves, you're going to get upgrades in both of the bountiful delve caches and then also from the vault. Those are going to be the main sources of upgrades. The base level gear, so the base level gear in the small chest that you get at the end, will always be 554. Next thing we want to know is that delves are going to come in 2 different types. We're going to have bountiful and normal. We all have heard that before, but it's important to know exactly how the bountiful system works. If you fail the bountiful delve, you will not be able to go back into it to be able to loot the coffer chest. Same thing goes if you succeed, though. If you complete the bountiful delve and then leave that delve, you still will not be able to go back into the delve in its bountiful form. It will then turn into a normal one. So what does this mean for our strategy? We want to make sure that we are doing normal delves as we tier up to the highest tier we can possibly do. And in an ideal situation, we could push all the way up to tier 8, though that's highly unlikely on week 1. So just know this, when you are tiering up your delves, do normal delves specifically because you want to be able to do the bountiful delves in the highest possible key or the highest possible tier that you can handle, and then use your key for that. Yeah, if you're like a lot of us, you've been stockpiling these keys. Again, remember, you can get 4 of them each week. Go ahead and take a look at the description if you're not sure how to get your coffer keys each week. I have a guide on all the sources and ways you can do it there. As a side note on opening the coffer chests or the bountiful delve chests, if you are a player that's doing raids, heroic raids, or you're doing mythic plus and things like that, you can then take that gear to be able to progress yourself up to tier 8 before you start cracking your keys. If you are mainly using delves as your way of progressing your character, though, no fear on using these keys. You will get 4 each week, and you shouldn't be afraid of using them, because when it comes to gearing out your character, if you are doing the solo player strategy, then you're going to be getting 554 in those other chests no matter what tier you're doing on your delve. Gear reward will not increase at a base level unless you use those coffer keys, again, for a week. And also inside of your pinnacle chest, you will be getting gear upgrades from there as well, but don't handicap yourself on stressing about saving these keys for the end of time. Keep in mind on this table over here to show you the breakpoints when you're going to start getting the next upgradable piece. You want to get that highest track you can, so then you can then go and upgrade that even higher using some of those reagents or some of those upgrade materials you're going to find from doing your content. Keep in mind, Valor Stones and also Crests will be dropping as you complete these delves. Higher and higher difficulty will give you better quality of them, or you can also get them from mythics, raids, dungeons, the whole shebang. Now, this is a topic I really want to get out to you guys. When it comes to progressing our delves and pushing the higher keys, it's important for us to level up Bran. Bran's experience until now has been capped at level 15, and at this point, we finally can move him past level 15 on up to a scaling track all the way to 60. Just all in general, make him stronger to be able to push you farther, and he does matter. He's going to do a lot for you when it comes to your delves. Now, how can we level Bran faster? Well, there's a couple things you want to be aware of as you push into the season with delves. First of all, the first delve you do every single day is going to give you the purple level experience. This is going to be the larger companion experience for Bran. You can see it as a completion bonus on the front of the delve as soon as you interact with the fog gate. Next thing to be aware of is that you are going to get 4 different bountiful delves per day, so you want to go into all 4 of those before the day expires. Now, again, we have 2 different types of players that are going to be using their keys at 2 different times. So if you're using your keys for upgrades because this is your main way of progressing, do those bountiful delves when you start struggling on a particular tier. If you feel like you're not hitting that tier that you want to unlock your keys on because you're just running short on time, still do these delves and just don't open the cache, because you do want to get that blue level experience for Bran. On top of that, you just want to make sure you're picking up your mislaid curiosities every time you see one in any of these delves. Just keep in mind, especially for the underwater delves, that you'll be able to turn around after it's completed and go hunt down all the mislaid curiosities that fell earlier in the map with no mobs and no breath mechanic to worry about. Just a quick tip for if you're trying to grind that out. Now let's talk about week 1 of doing delves. It's unlikely you're going to get to tier 8. This is supposed to be a progression path you're doing over the entirety of a season, so no stress on making sure that you get all the way to tier 8 before you start using your Coffer Keys. You definitely can use them earlier. And because we're WoW players, I know we like breakpoints. Take a look at this table right here. This table up here on Wowhead that does list out the exact times that you're going to get an upgrade to the next track, mainly being tier 5. I think tier 5 is a good breakpoint for us to shoot for on the first given week, because what we'll be able to do is that we'll be able to turn in our Coffer Keys, use our Coffer Keys there if we're struggling to get veteran pieces of gear. That means we're going to be on the veteran upgrade track, which is also going to let us push up 8 different upgrade levels to get that item level much higher than the 584 that it starts with. Just keep in mind that the next breakpoint you're going to reach is going to be tier 7. Tier 7 is going to go into the champion track. So just keep those breakpoints in mind before you start cracking those Coffer Keys. Don't forget, you can group up for this. Next thing you need to make sure you're doing is getting your max amount of Coffer Keys every single week. You don't want to miss them, because that's a key way, pun unintended, but that's a key way of you upgrading your way through delves and pushing the higher tiers. Take a look at the description for a guide on how to get all of those Coffer Keys each week to make sure you're not missing out on that. Also, too, there's a profession guide in the description that's going over some alt army strategies for you leveling up professions on alt characters and then making money on the auction house using daily cooldowns. Take a look at the description for those. And if the video did help you out today, please strike that like button. If you want to stay tuned for more WoW content in the future, please bash the subscribe. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.